I bet when you switched YouTube on today and you sat down for a little bit of YouTube entertainment, I bet you'd thought to yourself, I wonder who the 10 most moody musicians are. I bet that was a thought that you brought to the internet with you today. Well, you're in for a bit of luck today, because I have worked out the 10 moodiest musicians, and I have ranked them in terms of moodiness from 10 to 1, and I am now about to go through them, explaining why I think they're moody. Right, we've done arrogant, we've done grumpy, we've done handsome, we've done all sorts of different attributes. It's very good, I think, that I am, spending my time going through these special attributes and, nailing it for the future. So we will have a list of moody musicians. Now, really, I have complete disdain for anybody on this list. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're a musician, you're a successful musician, right? That means you have made yourself very, very wealthy just by playing a little bit of guitar or bass or singing a little bit in a few bands, going around the world having everybody worship you and everybody think you're something special. That's what you've done. So what have you got to be moody about? And that's the thing that gets on my nerves with a lot of people on this list, right? Is they're moody. And moody musicians, what have they got to be moody about? And then they get into all these things. Oh, you don't realise what it's like being an artist. They have to take all these drugs and they end up dying young. And you think, what's the matter with you? Bloody hell. What's the matter with you? So we just kick off straight off. You know how it works with these videos, don't you? So at number 10, I've got Midge Ure. Midge Ure. Now, Midge Ure is he was the lead singer of Ultravox. He had a hit with Vienna, right? Oh, Vienna. You know that one, walking around thinking he's in the Third Man, with his little bloody Captain Kirk sideboards and his little moustache. You remember that one? Now, he should have fallen into obscurity. We should not even be thinking about Midge Ure anymore. He should just be in the same bracket as a whole bunch of other 80s, pop stars that we don't remember. There's billions of them. I'll give you some now, but I can't remember any of them. But there's loads of them. But Midge Ure he's registered, and he's probably got enough of a profile to still just about to be able to get there. Now he's bloody 70 odd years old and he can get around these little clubs. And I bet you, when he turns up in these little clubs, he feels a bit miffed. I know this because it's been reported to me, you see, by people. Now, this quality of Midge Ure first came to my attention when I was told a story. And I don't know whether this is true or not, and it could just be made up. You never know with me, do you? Anyway, but I was told it by somebody that they were working in a studio with Midge Ure. This guy was friends with someone who knew Midge Ure, who'd worked with him in the old days. And this guy does, in a studio, sat next to Midge Ure, they're working away. And he mentions this friend to them, he goes, oh, I remember him. And they get chatting. So this guy decides to ring up his friend, and he said, you're not going to believe this. I'm not going to use the phone because that's a real phone, I'm just acting now. You're not going to believe this, I'm with Midge Ure. And this bloke said, oh, brilliant, are you there with him now? And he said, yes. Oh, could you put him on the phone for me? So he said, here's he. And he passes it over to Midge Ure. And then this bloke just called him the C word and hung up. And I thought, why is that happening? Why are they calling Midge Ure the C word? Now, I don't know what it is, but the thing with Midge Ure is you've got to understand that he was one half of the writing team behind the Do They Know It's Christmas, right? Which is, I think, the biggest selling single in music history. It's the biggest selling single. It's like massive. It's been released over and over again. It gets played every single Christmas, right? As do many other ones. It's a massively successful Christmas song. Do They Know It's Christmas, right? And that was written by Bob Geldof and Midge Ure. Then Midge Ure, I think, did the heavy lifting because he wrote the music. All Geldof did, I think, was come up with the lyrics, although I don't know that either. But anyway, they're both involved in it. But I can't imagine Geldof writing the chords because Midge Ure is actually a reasonable musician. I know this because he once got asked to play guitar in Thin Lizzy and he did a tour with them. He wasn't quite good enough to be like a Gary Moore or a Scott Gorham. He wasn't that good. He struggled a little bit, but he pulled it off. And I thought, well, he's got to be a reasonable musician if he can do that. So I think he could, pull together the chords and basic structure and melodies for It's Christmas Time, There's No Reason to Be Afraid and all that bit. So he's written that tune. Now, the thing with poor old Midge Ure is, right, that's a charity record, right? So it gets played all the time. It's been covered by 1 million people. He makes no money out of it whatsoever. None. If he did, he would be really, really rich. Now, he's got to have made some money out of Vienna because that's been a successful song. But you see, for Midge Ure, that's not good enough. But Geldof, he's been able to trade behind the fact that because he looked a bit scruffy and he swore a lot in 1985 when Live Aid happened, that's placed him into the consciousness. But, Captain Kirk sideboards and a little pencil moustache from the 1930s like Ronald Coleman did not do the same for Midge Ure, who I believe now is completely bald and could, not... I suppose if you go bald, what happens here? I suppose nobody goes bald around here, do they? The baldness is here, isn't it? So nobody ever goes bald on the old side. I can't grow sideboards, so I have, I do have that. That's something that I don't know. Anyone who can grow a decent sideboard, I'm a bit jealous of, and that's probably what's driven this tirade against Midge Ure. Now, also Midge Ure has got a stupid name. You can't say it properly. So all in all, he gets on my nerves, but that's not what we're looking at. I've forgotten, it's the wrong video, Andy. This one is the fact that he's moody. So yeah, he seems very moody to me. He's only low on the list, and I've imagined it. He might not be. He might be totally happy with, going Christmas shopping and he can't bloody afford it, and he's in there thinking, oh my God, if I just owned the royalties of this, I wouldn't have to do this. I probably wouldn't even just have to stand in the queue of B&M's getting this stuff now. So that's Midge Ure done, isn't it? Right, and number 9, I have... And I didn't want to put him on the thing before because I'm a massive fan of him and I thought there might be a chance that he might do an interview on here. But now I think that the bloke is so obtuse. I mean, if this was the 10 most obtuse musicians, this bloke would be number 1. But he definitely seems to be moody as well. So I'll put him down at number 9 because I think he's a bit moody. Let's get into it, right? At number 9, I got Robert Fripp.
Oh my.
I mean, has there ever been a rock star like it? He sits there looking like some sort of Edwardian accountant, but not a nice accountant. What are the nasty ones that would come in some sort of Edwardian play and cause some sort of nastiness by being rigorous? He'd put his little glasses on his nose and he'd go through those accounts and he'd point things out, which you don't need to. Right, and he seems mean-spirited like that, Fripp does. He's a mean-spirited man with his little glasses and an accountancy look. Right, he's a rock star and he always is very smart, isn't he? Anyway, so he's famous for being like this autocrat in King Crimson. So I always thought that he would sit there like a little king saying, I want this Bill Bruford. And then Bill would go, well, I don't know what to go. You'll do what I say. But I don't want to do this. I was from, yes, they're a bigger band. I don't care if you're from a bigger band. I don't care. You'll do exactly, that's what I thought he would be like. But he's not like that, you see. What he is, he's moody. Anyway, they make this documentary called In the Court of the Crimson King, which is a bit confusing because there's an album called In the Court of the Crimson King. But actually, the title for the documentary is more apt. It doesn't really mean much, does it? It's just like proggy pretentiousness in the Court of the Crimson King. Unless you are somebody like the fellow who went and made the documentary who was actually in the Court of the Crimson King, right? Because he acts like a little king, but he doesn't, does he? What he did throughout that thing was sit in the background and moan and whinge and act up. You know, so the bloke would be trying to interview somebody else. He'd be asking me the question. It wasn't even Fripp's interview. And then he'd go, that's not true. You can't say that. And he'd get into a right moody mare, Fripp does, right? Now, I think he's done this all the way through his career. He is manipulated through moodiness. That's fair enough, right? After all this moodiness of grumpiness and authoritative behaviour, he seems to be under the thumb of Toyah Willcox when you watch those videos. He seems to just do whatever she says and he revels in it.
Every girl crazy by the sharp-dressed man.
Right, I don't find that any of these attributes very good at all. You know, there's one thing being a moody mayor and bossing Bill Bruford around and other people, Ian McDonald or whoever it is that he's upset over the years. You know, it's all right doing that, right? But, you know, then at least stand up to your wife. And this thing that's happened recently, I mean, at one point it was massive, wasn't it? There was such a big thing. Everyone was tuning in, weren't they? It's because of to watch Toyah and Fripp do these cover songs very badly. He'd be sat in the kitchen and it looked like she dressed him up in some sort of Halloween costume, and they'd be singing some song like Born to Be Wild or something, and then she'd come out with a fan blowing in her face, singing in her soulless voice that she's got, and it would all be a bit, well, why were we all watching it? I'll tell you why. Because we were impressed that Toyah, a woman of a certain age, still had such well-formed upper regions. And everybody tuned into them. Everybody wanted to know. And then you were watching, and then they were getting more and more visible. They were playing their own part. You know, I gave them names. You know, I called them Pinky and Perky. I said, oh, Pinky Perky. Oh, is Pinky and Perky out today? Oh, not so much today. I won't bother watching then. You know, and that's what. And Fripp sat there, letting his wife show her bloody new romantic post-punk jugs to the world, right? And he just sits there saying nothing. He doesn't care who sees them. I wouldn't let my wife be doing that stuff like that. And anyway, but the fact is now, they're still up to it, but nobody cares. You see, this is the thing, you see. Familiarity breeds contempt. There is no more greater example of this than the contempt we have for the old Pinky and Perkies. We done? Fripp's done. Right, let's move on to someone I know nothing about. Why did I even put her on the list? Sometimes I'll be reading up. I do research on this, and I've done some research for this one. And I thought, that she'll be good. I'll put her on the list. And now I've got to. I can't remember any of the research. And I thought, I should have put somebody else on. But in the end, I'm going over old ground in a minute. You'll see I'm going over old ground. And so, you know, I've tried to get some new people to moan about on here for you to get a different aspect of my moaning. But at number 8, I've got Lizzo.
Kids, no good.
Right. It's not the sort of person we normally talk about on this channel, is it? Lizzo, right, is one of these modern pop star types, okay? And we know what they're like. They do the old R&B, don't they? A bit of rapping, I suppose, here and there. And they sing about things that are a bit boastful and a bit close to the knuckle, you know, that you don't really want your kids to listen to, but they get to hear it anyway, because it's all over bloody TikTok. She's one of those types, isn't she? And, you know, she'll sing a song and boast away. But actually, Lizzo's a proper musician, apparently. She was classically trained, which is good, but you can't really hear it in the music. Although there is a tunefulness to her stuff. That I can recognise there's something going on there with old Lizzo. I don't dislike Lizzo's music. I'm not going to try and demean her for that. But the thing is, with your pop stars, they're all much of a muchness, right? But pop stars are a little bit like 70s cop shows, right? So in the 70s, if you wanted to have a cop show, all you had to do is say, we're going to have this cop, and he goes out and solves crimes. And then the TV stations would go, well, we can't have that. That's everyone's done that. Yeah, but this one's bald. Oh, brilliant. Bald cop. There we go. Now there's the hook. He's bald. You know, as opposed to being in a wheelchair. Right? So when you look at all the cops shows in the 70s, they've all got attributes. A bit like superheroes, but they're not superpowers. They're just an attribute. You know, you might be in a wheelchair, you might be scruffy, you might be like Starsky and Hutch, two like closet gays. Nothing wrong with being closet gay, by the way. But it's probably best to be an uncloseted gay. But if you want to be a closeted gay, I mean, I could be a closeted gay, and that might be why I'm, you know, championing the closeted gayness. But should we just get off this bit? And so it's the same with pop stars. Most pop stars, they're standard run of the mill. They look good, they sing okay, they can dance around a bit, you know, and all that type of stuff. They got a bit of charisma. That's what they all look like. And then you get the ones who have these attributes, right? So recently we've had all the ugly fat ones with face tattoos ones, you know, the rag and bone thing, you know, and we've had all that. Then we have the sort of scrawny singer-songwriter like the Edge. There's always something there. We go, oh, that's an attribute, right? Now, Lizzo's attribute, if you haven't noticed, because I'm sure there's a post, and I'm having to really move over, because with Lizzo, right, Lizzo, her attribute, as you can see, I've had to really create a bit of space here on the screen for her. She's a fatty, basically. I don't know how to say it without sounding politically incorrect. Say what you see. The first time I saw her, budge over, Lizzo. Right, the first time I saw her was on at Glastonbury. She came out and she got this really high-cut sort of swimming costume on, and I thought, you don't want to be on stage looking like that. That looks terrible. Really does. You know. It looked like, you know, when, say you're going camping and you're having to put everything on the top of your car and you've got a tarpaulin and you're trying to get everything in, but it doesn't quite fit, does it? You're trying to pull it all, and every time you get one, it pops out somewhere else. You know, that has ever happened to you with that sort of thing? You know, there was too much in too small a space, you know. I mean, this is the basis of explosives here, is having a mass contained within a space which it can't be contained within, right? And so the whole of that sort of Glastonbury thing, I was worried watching it, and I didn't watch it. I don't know. Anyway, and but the thing with her is, after all this, she has apparently been moaning about the look of her dance. Now, the thing is, I can't remember the story, and it does not matter, does it? The point is, she is moaning. She is moaning and acting like she's something special, and you've got to listen to Lizzo, like this. She should be grateful, because there's only one spot for a fat female pop star, right? Adele had it once, and she realised. She saw Lizzo coming along. She said, well, I can't compete with that. So she had to slim down. And you can when you're Adele, because you can pay whatever they do. I mean, these people do this, don't they? Us mortals can't lose weight like that, but they can. You know, all sorts of things they've had done. So why doesn't Lizzo do that? Well, I'll tell you, at some point, when the next fat one comes along, she will. Right? It always happens to fat ones. They get famous because they're fat, and then once we get used to it, and it's familiarity breeds contempt. This is a theme that's coming out. You know, although with Pinky and Perky, we have no worry about them getting fat, do we? God, what am I doing? I do apologise to anybody. I'm not like this, really. I'm only saying these things to make you laugh. It's just silliness. Go too far. You go too far, Andy. I do go too far. It's all silliness. Don't take it too seriously. Of course, everybody on this list would take it too seriously. I think that's my worry. Because I know anybody, if they do watch this, because all these people except for one are still alive. So they make me watching this because they're moody. They won't see this with a wry smile. Bill Bruford would. You could tell that. He's a jaunty fellow. You know, if he's watching this, I've taken a little bit of the mickey out of him just now. But Bill Bruford, he'd probably having a little laugh to himself with what I'm saying because it doesn't really mean anything. I don't know whether Robert Fripp would. You can't tell with Fripp, can you? He'd probably love it. Because he's into this conscious suffering, you see. Conscious suffering is a Gurdjieffian idea. Well, Mr. Fripp, if you watched it, this is your conscious suffering today. Right, number 7, I've got Eric Clapton.
And then kids, no good.
I'm a big supporter of Eric Clapton, right? I think he's a fantastic guitar player. Right, he's as good as Gilmour. He's as good as all those people that everyone rates. And you go, oh, and you like your fast guitar playing, you know. And it's not about being fast; it's about having feel. And David Gilmour or Mark Knopfler, they've got feel because they bend the notes a bit more and they play slowly. And to me, slowly, feel means slowly. You know those types. And they also, but for some reason, poor old Eric Clapton has not been included in this, and he's the best of the lot.
Good and tasty.
When it comes to straight blues playing, Clapton's the best of the lot. Plus, he invented lead guitar playing. Right, so I feel sorry for him for that because he's bloody amazing. I did a gig with him once and sat and I watched him and I was just like, oh my God, you're just ridiculous. Right, it's hard to play the blues like that with that level of perfection. Great voice, he's written incredible songs. Clapton's great, right? But I'm not going to go on about the fact he went a little bit middle of the road, you know, and of course he spent the 70s on heroin. So, you know, I think he did quite well. You know, he made some reasonable albums, considering he was an alcoholic and a heroin addict. Yeah, he did have a little bit of a racist tirade, but I can put that down to him just being drunk. We've all been there, haven't we? I've had it many a time, you know. Luckily, I wasn't in front of an audience when it happens. You know, you go out, you get completely off your head, completely drunk, and then you start sort of, you know, just shouting far-right sort of Enoch Powell-esque National Front rhetoric at everybody.
First beer of the night.
I mean, you know, it's going to happen every now and then, isn't it? Anyway, that's not what it is with Clapton. This is what it is with Clapton. He seemed to be grumpy from day one. He's a grumpy man. He's moody and he's grumpy, right? He comes into London, right? He goes into that band, John Mayall's band. They go into the recording studio. And this is his great claim to fame. He had his guitar up so loud and it was distorting so he could get some sustain on it. And the BBC type engineers came in. They weren't BBC engineers, but they were that sort of white coated, you know, pens and the thing. They kept saying, well, you can't have this. This is absolutely too loud. You must stop that. It's too loud for us in the recording studio. And Clapton went, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't turning down, right? Well, you must. He was only 17 or 18 at the time. No, I'm not turning down. I know he wouldn't have been 17. He would have been about 20, wouldn't he? He was about 20 at the time. But he's young, you know, young. Stood his ground. And we all go, I commend him. But the reason was because he was a spoilt, moody, middle-class person that couldn't be told anything. And the whole history of guitar playing, of rock guitar playing, and having distortion and bending and doing all that blew everybody away. Then Hendrix came in doing it, and the whole thing changed. All down to Clapton. But why? Because they got some spoilt, moody, middle-class person. Go, I'm not doing that. You know, I've got a Fender Strat. My mummy bought it, or whatever happened. You know, because all these guitarists in the early 60s, they were only there because their parents could buy them a guitar. You know, normal people couldn't buy a guitar. You had to be relatively wealthy. Anyway, so he does that. Then he joins Cream. Now, Cream, right, they're only around for 2 years. They sell about 30 million albums. They were massive, the biggest band in the world. And then what do they can't get on, right? They can't get on. None of them. I haven't got Jack Bruce on the list, but Ginger Baker's on the list. In fact, I'm going to put him with Jack Bruce. We'll deal with him together because I've never dealt with Jack Bruce. Right, so I'm going to put Jack Bruce up there, grumpy Scotsman. But he seems the least grumpy. But what do I know? I wasn't in the band. He might have been really grumpy. Clapton might have been keeping the peace because it was Bruce and Baker that didn't get on anyway. But they do that. They can't stick that band for too long because they're so bloody spoilt and moody. So after 2 years they go their separate ways, don't they? Then, this is the thing. Clapton wants to get it on with George Michael's. Nothing to do with George Michael. Oh, God. I think I need a bit more coffee than I've had. George Harrison's wife, Patty Boyd, was it? Now she's a very pretty lady. I'll put her up here. It's a very pretty lady. And I would say that George Harrison was very lucky to get a lady that pretty, because George Harrison is a bit of a ferrety looking fellow, wasn't he? You know, really, to be fair. And I would say Clapton is probably a bit cooler than George Harrison. Anyway, they're mates. But if you go around your mate's house, you don't covet your neighbour's donkey. You shouldn't be coveting your neighbour's wife like that. But Clapton, being a sport and moody, in the same way as he didn't want to have his amp turned down, he didn't say no. And so what did he do? He didn't go then pursuing her like a knight, you know, doing chivalrous things and, you know, showing off in front of her, rescuing her from like bloody towers, you know, that George Harrison's put her in for someone. I don't think he would have done that, because George Harrison was too. This is the thing. It's easy pickings when you got George Harrison, because but actually, I say that, but I've also found out when I did my Hardest Men, and I assumed Lennon would be the hardest in the Beatles, when I did my hardest musicians of all time list the other day, I think I got it wrong. I think George Harrison may well have been the hardest in the Beatles, because remember, he got attacked in his bedroom. Remember that? That bloke came in a knife and he fought him off. I would like to fight off somebody with a knife in my bedroom. He probably got his pajamas on, you know, about to have some cocoa or whatever he would eat. He's probably drinking something much more Indian, and, you know. Look, anyway, I'm really going off the point. The point is, Clapton, that may have been what it is. He thinks, oh, I'll try and get Patty, and then he realises, I didn't realise George Harrison's actually quite hard. I'm not. And then, anyway, the point is, he goes into this massive mood, doesn't he? And he has to go and do Derek and the Dominoes, do Layla, all about him, get all pretentious, get some poem, you know, and see the ramifications between him and some prince, and so I don't know. It's all bloody nonsense, right? Fair enough, because you know, I don't like that Derek and the Dominoes album. I think it's absolute rubbish, you know, but some people like it. Layla's good. Anyway, he then, when he doesn't get her, right, he then goes into a heroin-fueled mood. A strop. I don't care. I'll die because I haven't got Patty. You know, and he does all that, throws his fingers out the pram, becomes a massive alcoholic, and eventually, because George Harrison's probably philandering his way, see, they're all dodgy, you see. He's off philandering, and she goes, oh, I may as well go off and philander with Eric Clapton then. So she goes off with him, and he turns out to be not a great husband, and he drops her after, you know, not treating her very well. I mean, I'm saying this about Clapton, who I have supported. The bloke above him's done, I can't think of anything he's done, really, these ones that are coming up now. You know, I thought I'll put Eric down. I like Eric. I feel like he's been maligned. Anyway, we've done this. We're off half an hour on this video. It's going to be bloody too long, isn't it? Shall we just? I'm going to speed up now. I'm going to speed up. Right, at number 6, I have Ritchie Blackmore. Right, now the thing with Ritchie Blackmore, he's definitely mean. He's definitely moody. But I don't think he's magnificent. He's more truculent. He's got the face of a little truculent, spoilt boy, hasn't he, Blackmore? Right? And so, right from the beginnings of Deep Purple, when he's in there, he walks around, and he's got, he struts far too much for someone like, I mean, he's not an alpha male. Gillan is. Ian Gillan is. Look at that. That's testosterone, you know. And Gillan's not going to be told what to do by Blackmore, but Blackmore thinks it's his band, doesn't he? I mean, Ian Gillan, especially when he had a bit of the old whiskers, there's been very few men as handsome as that. And from what I've been told, he utilised his celebrity and handsomeness, you know, with the ladies. Now, Blackmore, I don't know. I mean, I think it's this, what you've got here is alpha male versus spoilt boy. Now, one of the things about Ritchie Blackmore is that he used to dress in black, right? A bit like Johnny Cash, but he didn't seem like he was, he didn't seem like he was hard like Johnny Cash is hard, because he wore like a Puritan's hat, you know, that hat he used to wear. Why did he wear that for? Right? Puritans aren't hard. They're just moody. So I've always thought Ritchie Blackmore's moody. Now, Ritchie Blackmore balanced his moodiness by also being a practical joker. And he played all sorts of practical jokes on people. And I quite like that aspect of him. So 1 minute he's playing practical jokes, 1 minute he's getting moody. Then, when Ian Gillan can't stand it and he slings his hook, they get Coverdale and Glenn Hughes in, don't they? And then they get all funky, and he don't like that. So then he buggers off and he forms Rainbow. Anyway, the point is he's moody. Right, I'm going on. I haven't got much to say about him. Or the next one. Number 5, I've got Steve Howe. Now, the thing with Steve Howe is, he thinks he's Yes, doesn't he? He has taken on the mantle of Yes, okay? There he is Mr. Yes. Now, the thing is, when John Anderson, who is actually Yes, okay, he is Yes. When he did his album last year, True, it was better than Yes, wasn't it? Okay? Then my mate the other day, he went to some sort of gig somewhere and he saw a tribute to Yes. And he said to me, they were better than the actual Yes. And I said to him, that's because everything is better than the actual Yes. Everything is better. Right? I'll prove it now. Wait there. I'm back. And I'm now going to prove to you that everything is better than Yes. Doesn't matter what anybody does, it will be better than Yes. I've gone and got my copy of Close to the Edge, the greatest progressive rock album ever made. Maybe one of the greatest albums ever made. And on here, I have the lyrics. Right, so they are to read. I'll have to put those there. I haven't. You know how I roll. Well, let's bring him over here. You know how I roll on these videos, so I really have not rehearsed this at all. A man conceived a woman's. Yeah, we got it now, right? So I'm going to do the opening, Chord of Life it's called, off And You and I, right? And I want you to tell in the comments whether it's better than the Yes that's now. What would you rather listen to, me doing it, right? Or Steve Howe's Yes doing it? Shall we see what happens? If John Anderson was here, I wouldn't be singing if Anderson was here. We know. As soon as if I was going... and John Anderson was next to me and started chiming in, we go, oh my God, it's Yes. Right, don't matter about the guitar player. Anybody could do that as soon as you hear that voice, right? You know, but he's not here, is he? So let's see what happens when I do it. The flowers I can't read those lyrics. And you see how they've written it. I mean, I've always imagined that John Anderson wrote that out in his own pen, and it's wonderful, lovely bit of a. Let's just forget the lyrics. They don't matter, do they? Because I'm nowhere in the right range. Let's try it up there. See, you enjoyed it, but you sat there going, I'm really enjoying this. You know, I don't know what key it's in, but at least I've gone for something that's really somewhere near the key and not like 15 octaves down. So Steve Howe, he's grumpy. He's got no reason to be grumpy. He goes around saying that we're Yes, we're doing this anyway. That's Steve Howe. And he looks bloody terrible at the moment, doesn't he? I think, and this might be a bit harsh, but I think that Yes should call it a day and they should give it back to John Anderson, because John Anderson, even though he's like 80 odd, looks fine. He's a fine figure of a man, although he's quite small. Steve Howe on the other side, I think should not be allowed out. He looks frightening to me, okay? He looks like a zombie leprechaun.
Headlights, 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 headlights.
So, Steve Howe's done. Right, this gets a bit easy now. Number 4. I have got a number 4. Grace Jones. Now, Grace Jones, of course, is a Trinidadian. She's a model that emerged in the late 70s, and she had a very extreme look, let us say. And because of the extreme look she had, somehow she ended up with a deal with Island Records, and somehow she actually managed to release a whole bunch of songs which are absolutely amazing. And Slave to the Rhythm actually made my 20 greatest favouriteest songs, which it is. Pull Up to the Bumper's amazing as well. Both of those are amazing. Now, Grace Jones is now 77 years old, and this is what she looks like now. I think this is, I mean, Steve Howe should take a leaf out of her book, because, you know, how old's Steve Howe? What year was he born? I feel it's 1947. I think that's the year he was born, whereas John Anderson is 1944, so he's older. Now, Steve Howe, being born in 1947, that puts him at the grand old age of 78. 77, 78, that's right. 77, that's before 1948. So he's 78, isn't he? So he's only 1 year older than Grace Jones, right? So Grace Jones, I got no problem with her. She's still out doing it, even though she can't sing and she does not have the musical talent. Still, we don't mind looking at Grace Jones. But Grace Jones is famously grumpy, right? Now, when I was a kid, there was this great talk show host called Russell Harty. And Russell Harty, that name sums him up. A Russell could be like a rustle or bustle in the forest. And Harty, he was a happy, you know. So it conjures up sort of woodland creatures, doesn't it, the name Russell Harty? Well, it does it to me. Harty, but then, you know, anyway, forget that. So Russell Harty was a very nice, he died too young, but he was a very nice man. Never nasty to anybody. And then he had Grace Jones on his show. And this is what happened.
Are you wearing perfume? Can you smell her at all?
No, I've got my own body odour perfume.
Let's try and keep it on a slightly higher level, if we may.
No.
Are you wearing perfume at this
No,
moment?
no, I very seldom do.
If you turn your back to me one more minute, I
have got to talk to this.
This has been going on too long already.
Well, it's only going to go on about another 6 minutes, and you're going to have another little part of it soon.
Maybe I should go right now.
No, don't go right now unless you really want to.
Well, don't turn your back on me anymore.
I can't look at you. Now, hold on, just a moment. Just
move your chair back a bit or something.
So for that reason, that amount of grumpiness, and it's the sort of grumpiness that you have to respect. You go, oh my God, this is like Elton John level of grumpiness, although Elton John's not on here. In fact, I could have had Elton John. Shall we have Elton John instead of who I've got number 3? I got Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce. I've done Ginger Baker to death. Let's just do Elton John. I got nothing prepared for Elton John, so let's go for it, shall we? Right, Elton John. He's a very talented man.
This is for everybody out there Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So that's who I've got at number. I won't do any more of this. That's who I've got at number 3 is Elton John. Right. So at number 2, I've had someone who's been requested on these types of lists continually, right? And I don't know much about this fellow, so I don't know how much. I did try and do some research. Like I said, I've forgotten this morning. This video is rubbish, as you can see, but this is what you seem to like. And these sort of comedy ones that I do, because this is comedy. If you're not laughing, then I apologise. It's my attempt at comedy. And I'll be perfectly honest here. I find that the less research I do, the more you seem to like them. If that's not the case, then, let's not worry about it. But this man has been requested as being a right grumpy fellow and angry as well. He gets in a right mood. And it is Don Henley from the Eagles. Now, what did I research? What's he done? Right, one of the things he's done is some bloke who I can't remember his name, Frank somebody, did, this is rubbish YouTubing, you're supposed to know this, anyone else would have just this written down at least. Some Frank bloke had a hit and sampled, Hotel California, and he got really angry about that. And he keeps criticising people, like he criticised Guns N' Roses and said that they were a mess. And he gets angry with the band, and he gets angry with the fans, and he just seems like an angry, grumpy man. That's the basic reason these things come out. And then on top of that, after having a go at everybody, it turns out that he's bloody miming. He's miming, right, to it, and it's like that, that Sea of Tranquility. Well, it was like Wings of Pegasus. The Wings of Pegasus. The bloke with the sort of 1980s hairstyle. If you're in a new wave of British heavy metal band about 1980s, that chap there. What's his name? He always says his name. Every video goes, this is so-and-so. What's he say his name? It's a funny name. And then he sits there. He used to do all sorts of things, but now he just sits there with his bloody auto-tune, going, listening to singers again. That's tuned in. And now he's got a new thing where he's going, oh, these singers who can sing, they sound like they're tuned in, but they're not. Well, he's got loads more subscribers, so people watch him. I don't know. What's his name? It's not Cliff, is it? Is it Mitch? That fellow with the hair? What's his name? Anyway, he exposed them. He exposed Don Henley, and I think they've changed the video. I don't really know what I'm talking about. You know why? Because I tell you this. The reason why I put it number 2 is for Don Henley to criticise Guns N' Roses, right? And I've criticised Guns N' Roses here. I have. But I do own, I'm having difficult with my words this morning. I do own a Guns N' Roses album. Of course I do. I've got appetite for distraction. I can't get any words out today. The only good bit on this video was the bloody bit where I did yes. The point I'm trying to make here is that, am I trying to make any point with this one? The Eagles, I can't even anymore. I just hate the Eagles. The only thing they did that was any good was the theme to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. No, but the rest of it, and they're like one of the biggest selling bands in the world. They're like the top 5 selling bands. Everybody has got an Eagles album except for me. I think Hotel California and The Best of the Eagles are 2. They're in the top 10. They got 2 albums in the top 10 biggest selling albums of all time, right? And I don't get it. I would rather have the band America with that Horse with No Name track. I like that. Can't we just have that instead of Hotel California? And then people think that the guitar solo is good in Hotel California and they have to learn it. Why? Why the Eagles? Why not bread? There's another one. Bread. You got bread, American Eagles. Why the Eagles? Why do people like them? And I've got friends who like them. Is it the vocal harmonies? I don't know what it is. It's really middle of the road. I know it's well done, right? But have some bloody gumption and taste. Why do you have to fall in with this absolute... If there is Eagle fans here, good on you. Brilliant. Well done. Bloody hell. Don Henley, you got a bloody rubbish band that's middle of the road, right? Sold millions of records because they just managed to get that sort of Terry Wogan Radio 2, you know, they just... Can't get me words out today. I can't get me words out. Let's just go straight to number one. It's obvious. Who's the moodiest, grumpiest man in rock? It's Van Morrison, isn't it? The little fat Irish goblin fella who can't make a decent album that everyone thinks great when he's not great, okay? He was only any good when he was in them. I've done it over and over again. I've criticised Van Morrison over and over again, haven't I? I've really had a go at him. And I don't care what he thinks. I don't care how grumpy he is. I'm not in his band. He can't sack me on the spot. He can't do anything like that. What's he going to do? Beat me up? He's not going to... I mean, he's bloody little and fat and he's old now. What's he going to do? I'm not scared of Van Morrison. That's one thing. I'm not scared of... Astral Weeks is the worst album ever made. I've listened to other albums. I've done it on this channel. I nearly vomited listening to Van Morrison, right? He's rubbish. And I'm not scared to say it. And I'm not scared to... Hello? Oh, hello, Mr. Morrison. Yeah, I am doing it again. Yeah. Oh, well... Yeah, so you didn't mind it the first few times. You thought it was quite funny, yeah. But this is getting a bit much and boring. Yes, yes. Well, all I could say is I do apologise, Mr. Morrison. I didn't mean it. No. Don't get angry. No. I am sorry. I'm only doing it to make them laugh. I know it's not funny. No, don't get any of your old IRA mates onto me. No, don't do that. Well, I can't say I'm not going to do it again. I keep coming back to it, Mr. Morrison. Yeah, I know you're just trying to get on with your life and just, you know... I know you've done nothing. I know you've done nothing to me. I'm starting to feel bad now you put it like that. I know, but it's like some of it's rubbish. Really? Really? That's what? That puts a complete different picture on it. Because I've got to be honest. I listened to an album you did it was like a funky album. You were sat outside the gates of some place. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, that album. I quite enjoyed that album. I have to keep it. So I didn't want to come on here and say, oh yeah, there's a couple of Van Morrison albums I really like. But I really like that one. Yeah, funky, groovy. So why did you do Astral Weeks then? Because... no way. Really? Oh... fair enough, Mr. Morrison. I take it all back. Then the grumpiness is just an act. That's fine. No. I'll tell him that. I'll tell him that. Yes. Okay then. All right, Mr. Morrison. Yeah, it has been nice to talk to you. And you like all the other stuff I do. You're a big fan. Oh, that's nice to know. Yeah, that's really good. Would you ever come on here to do a proper? No. All right, mate. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I know I'd benefit from it financially, maybe. Yeah, because you are pretty much of a big, massive star, yeah. You know, I met Sting, and I said, what's Van Morrison like? And he said, hey, Oliver, stay there, see, yeah, I do feel bad now, just throwing hate at people. Yeah, I know. I don't know why. I mean, I'm 57. I don't know why I'm doing this now for. I'd rather just come up and talk about the jazz. Do you like the jazz? Oh, yeah. We should have a chat. You would have to have a get-together. Oh, all right then. Fair enough. Okay. All right then, Mr. Morrison. I'll love and leave you. Okay, matey. You look after yourself. Yeah, love you. Bye-bye. That was Van Morrison. He seemed quite chirpy, actually. Seems like all right. And he said the reason why he did Astral Weeks, he said because he knew all those pretentious critics would buy any old piece of crap. So he rocks up into New York, played the same 3 chords over and over again, sang the same whole bunch of rubbish, and all the critics thought it was great, and it sold loads and made him rich. He said he didn't have to put the work in. He said just before that he'd done an album which was literally just the same chords and him singing the most inane pop, and that they seemed happy with that, so he thought he'd go the whole hog. So that's all right, fair enough, you know. Well, I might finish up then with a song like that. Shall we finish up with a song in the sort of Van Morrison's style? So. Enjoyable doing this. I'm finding it quite cathartic. No wonder Van Morrison does it. It's really enjoyable. And I tell you something, anyone can sing in that voice. I could do it. I can't sing, right? But I could sing like Van Morrison. You just have to channel that thing. That really... He wouldn't have a chord that interesting there though, would he? Anyway, that's the video done. It was all right, wasn't it? The songs were good, weren't they? The yes bit was good. I'll go and do more of that. I enjoy doing those parodies like that. So I'll try and do some more of that. So if you enjoy this sort of nonsense, then please put a like on it. And please remember, right? I mean every word I say.
My name is Ethel the Frog.